Approval is required from First Nations for use of their unceded lands. We'll have Ron Tremblay speak a little bit more about that shortly. So as far as the sequence of events this afternoon, following my talk, we're going to have several 2-3 minute presentations. At some point throughout that, the MLAs are going to come out. Gilles Lepage and David Kuhn are expected to come out and accept the petitions and table them at the Legislature. And then we'll have Carolyn Dubé-Darcy, who will be wrapping up with a few comments. One more announcement. Following this presentation, we've got a small private working group that will be following us over to Isaac's Way for a 1.5 hour meeting. After that 1.5 hour meeting, we'll be mingling with that private group and with anybody else who wants to step forward with any ideas that you might have. So, I'm going to try to get this through real quick and get through to the speakers. For myself, I've been working with Stop Spraying New Brunswick since February. I never honestly heard of glyphosate until they canned Dr. Cleary last fall, and that got me out of my seat. I was actually driving to work one morning and I heard that in the news. And of all the things I hear on the news, that stopped me. And as of that day, I hit the ground running. I became an activist on that day. I said, that stinks. So that led me into, that's right, we can't tolerate. There was no proper answers, nothing reasonable about the whole event. So then I attended a glyphosate presentation at the Conserver House up St. John Street here by Dr. David Coombs, not Coon, Coombs, a biologist from UNB, and our own Matthew Avina spoke on behalf of Stop Spraying New Brunswick. And at that event, I got recruited to do the website. And from there on in, it's a long story, and I ended up here in front of you now. Just this morning, at 11 o'clock, I was at the Ombudsman's office, where we presented a request to him to get into the Chief Medical Officer of Health's office and push this along. Last fall, they promised a review on glyphosate that was going to be released by this spring in advance of the spraying season. We have yet to see that, and so we went up there this morning to put in a letter to say we need to sit down and we need to have the Ombudsman put some pressure on the Chief Medical Officer of Health, the acting Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Jennifer Russell, to see that through and get an answer going, because things are going to be coming quick here now. So beyond that, hopefully you've all seen the numbers that we've distributed for the deer harvest. That was compiled by a local biologist for us, where he got together with a number of other jurisdictions to show us where the deer harvest numbers are actually at, contrary to the numbers that we've heard from DNR's own officials and from government, saying we have bad winters. I think you can clearly see from this document that we've distributed here today that they don't have a problem in Gaspé and in Maine and in Nova Scotia. But New Brunswick, we're down to the tune of 15% of the harvest numbers that we were seeing in 1985. So hopefully you get a chance to have a look at that and you can draw your own conclusions. But either way, we need more reasonable answers than what we've been getting. So I'll finish with my comments with two things. We've got some crucial work that we've got to do this summer. One of them is we need visuals. We need visuals of our forests pre and post spray. We need you to reference the Government of New Brunswick GOND herbicide page. That will show you in early July as to when the spraying contractors plan to get out there and spray this fall. We need some beautiful pictures of how nice and lush and green things are before that spraying takes place. Then we'll need to get it back out again to the same place, take some more pictures after the spraying took place. And we're going to show the contrast between the life and the death. That's of no consequence to the proponents of spraying. But it is a very effective tool for us to show what's going on out there, to gather the support that we need to see this through to a successful conclusion. And that leads into the second thing that we need to see this summer, and that is more petition signatures. We've done a great job, and we're here today to present, I can't remember, between 10 and 12,000 petition signatures, a significant achievement. And we got to say, within 2 more years, we need to see 60,000 more signatures. And if you think that's a big number, I'm going to speak to, I don't see her here now, but Francine Levesque. This lady right here was responsible for between 3,000 and 4,000 signatures represented here today. That's one person. What she was able to do in a small rural community that thrives, depends on the woods for their income. Kedgwick, that's right. Thank you, sir. Now, that might make 60,000 seem a little bit smaller when we see one person pulling 3,000 to 4,000 together. But we really need to get out there this summer. So between the visuals to show what's happening out there and the petition signatures, those can be defined as the 2 very important things that we need to see happen this summer. So, I'll move on to a summary of the rest of the events. We've got a number of speakers. We're going to ask them to stick between 2 to 3 minutes. We'll remind each of the speakers if they go too much beyond that. We'll be breaking down at some point in time for the MLAs to come forward and accept the petitions. The brief introduction. First up will be Woodstock Grand Chief Ron Tremblay from the Tobit. He'll be followed by Bill Miller, a 3rd-generation canoe builder from Nicktaw. Then lumberjack Leo Gauguin from Rogersville. And Leo will be followed finally by Charles Theriault from Kedgwick. And then we'll have Carolyn Dubé-Darcy, who will wrap things up with a few final comments. So with that, I think the only other thing I've got to say is thank you. We need all of you. We need to come together on this if we have any chance at all of seeing this through to a more reasonable conclusion and more reasonable respect of our natural resources that is not there now. So with that, I'll ask Ron Tremblay to step forward